At the heart of a rising East, West Bengal is scripting a powerful growth story. Times Network Growth Summit West Bengal chapter brought together leading voices from government, industry and academia to explore the state's transformation. From AI to robotics to MSME empowerment, skilling and sustainable infrastructure, the summit spotlighted the key pillars shaping Bengal's dynamic future. Dr. Shashi Panja, Minister for Industries, Commerce and Enterprises and Department of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare, Government of West Bengal, graced the occasion and gave the keynote address.
Thank you to Times Network and for its thought about a growth summit here in West Bengal. Our policies always empower, like women empowerment that you see out here, and also the policies target for economic and social inclusion of all, leaving no person behind. But coming back to industry and the West and this state, which has been consistently one of the fastest growing states in India in terms of economic growth, with GSDP close to nearly 19 lakh crores INR in the financial year 24-25. And of course, you were speaking, the hosts were speaking, that we are blessed with a strategic location. We are also blessed with a very productive workforce and a very skilled but very viable, economically viable also to the investors. Also a very diversified and a vibrant industrial ecosystem and rich natural resources, and truly blessed with the mountains and with something as important as the Sundarbans and also the huge inland waterways that we, and of course, the borders that we share, international and state borders. That makes it a very gateway to the northeast and then beyond to the southeast. Very approachable and a very accessible state. The state's competitive edge is further strengthened by the integrated value chain that we carry, the robust manufacturing capabilities, world-class logistics infrastructure, and the implementation of a forward-looking logistics and export promotion policy. I truly feel that on behalf of the government, as a policy maker, this government has been, the industrial sector for which has emerged as a key driver of the state's economic growth over the past 12 years. We do say this, but it is not a political statement. It is true that before 2011, this state has witnessed industrial strikes. It has witnessed what we in Bengali say, dharmaghat.
The summit also saw an important fireside chat on education for a future-ready workforce.
Can I start by asking you, do you think we are producing youngsters that are ready for the workforce?
See, we are known for the traditional Indian way of human resource development. But that system suffers from a number of inadequacies, and which is why now the focus is on developing educated and skilled workforce. And because of this fourth industrial revolution, this has created two classes of students, traditional students and also the non-traditional students. The Western world is coming up with tailor-made programs for these two sets of students. Traditional students are the students who are in the age cohort of 18 to 23 or 24, but the non-traditional students are those who have already entered into the world of work, but because of the artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, robotics, automation, adaptive testing techniques, they are finding themselves inadequate. And they wish to come back to the campuses for the purposes of reskilling themselves and upskilling themselves. And which is why, the leading institutions of the world are coming up with short-term, tailor-made programs for these students. That is the need of the hour. In our country, we have a very serious problem. If you compare our data with the data of countries like Germany and South Korea, wherein the educated and skilled workforce is of the order of 95% and 73% respectively. In India, we have only 5% trained, skilled workforce, which is creating a huge mismatch between the demand and supply. And therefore, we need to do a lot insofar as this is concerned.
In terms of sector-wise development, where do you think we should be focusing upon?
See, the issues of education are interconnected. They cannot be seen in isolation like any other social organizations. If we have to increase the access in higher education, then we have to diversify our campuses in terms of student population. And if we have to diverse our campuses in terms of student population, then we will have to come up with flexible learning pathways. And if we have to articulate flexible learning pathways, then we have to go in for subject-specific benchmarking of learning outcomes so that the children who are prepared by Jadavpur are as good as the children prepared by Shanti Niketan or by Burdwan or by Calcutta University. And if we have to overcome the disparities in academic attainments across the institutions, then we have to switch over from the conventional mode of teaching and learning to interdisciplinary mode of teaching and learning. And if we have to move over to interdisciplinary teaching and learning, then we have to scale up the abilities of the teachers so that they can provide differential treatments to the children coming from very diverse background. So in order to understand the nuances of education, I think we'll have to understand the interconnectivity across these different aspects of education, be it relating to school education or higher education.
Ashish Beriwala, Director of SRMB Steel, spoke on transforming Bengal, infrastructure, investment and inclusive growth in an interesting fireside chat at the Growth Summit.
Let's talk about what you think of the development in West Bengal. You belong to the construction, you belong to the manufacturing industry. When you look at what's happening in West Bengal, we have the Howrah Bridge right behind us, the iconic Howrah Bridge completed in 1943. We still use this image. When is the next iconic structure in West Bengal going to come up? Do you think West Bengal is keeping up with the demands?
Historically, West Bengal as a state has been the flag bearer of industrial development, infra development in our country. Even currently, West Bengal is ranked as one of the leading state economies in GSDP terms, as Honorable Minister already mentioned. So, yeah, there are a sizable number of projects, both central and state, which are undergoing. A lot of action in real estate space in terms of construction activity. In service sector, I would say one of the infra is also developing at quite a good pace. So yeah, West Bengal is continuing to be one of the leading state in terms of infrastructure, construction development in a holistic manner across the state.
When you look at the sector, do you identify any particular gaps? Do you look at something and think as a businessman that, well, if we had partnered with the state government, if we had been innovative, this could have been filled? Do you identify any such gaps?
I can only tell you that in a developing state or a developing cities, that the way our urban and tier 2 cities are expanding, no amount of infra development would be enough. So yeah, so you can say that greater infrastructural push in terms of ports, roadways, railway freights. Fortunately, we are in a power surplus state as it is. Continuing to put emphasis on all these aspects would be even better.
Now, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is how unique West Bengal is. And West Bengal is not just unique in terms of its culture, its heritage, but also unique in terms of the climatic and the geographical challenges. It's a very disaster-prone state. The infrastructure, the steel, the TMT, everything used also has to match that. What are you doing different at SRMB Steel?
So, steel industry has evolved in terms of technology as per the demands of the construction industry, our core target segment. At SRMBs, I would say that our products, be it TMT bars or window sections, have evolved into higher seismic resilience products. Now it's more green steel that we manufacture. We are ESG certified. So technology has definitely kept up. By default, all products that we manufacture and a lot of the industry peers are manufacturing are greater seismic resilience so that the structures can come up to these environmental challenges, in be it floods or earthquakes or the climatic changes that we encounter. Technology has been evolving to cater to these challenges.
You talk a lot about innovation. You talk a lot about all the new types of steel and TMT that's coming into the market. But is the workforce skilled enough? Do we have a pipeline of skilled workforce? Because at the end of the day, one thing that, for example, I don't want to talk about other countries, but one thing that separates us from China is the lack of skilled workforce. Is the government doing enough? Are companies like SRMB doing enough to ensure that there is a continuous supply of not just people who work, but people who are skilled?
Let me tell you, since traditionally, we have had these technical and management universities and a lot of colleges in West Bengal. So the manpower supply by default due to this, for our industry, construction, be it or otherwise, has been quite, we did not need to go beyond Bengal in terms of, you can say, but though we have a very inclusive workforce in terms of manpower from various parts of the country, but Bengal has quite a sizable workforce which are skilled, suited to the needs of the industry. But everything can't be done by educational institutions. So the efforts has to be there from the industry also. So when a candidate is moving from the various educational institutions to guide them with regards to the intricacies of the industry. So the skilling beyond the general education or certification has to be taken up by the industry. At SRMB, I can speak about one initiative, which is Unnati, which is very satisfying for us, wherein we take regular mason trainings with regard to upskilling them. A lot of our masons do on-the-job training. So a lot of them have not gone through formal training. So it is very imperative that, we take them through these, and they cannot spare 6 months, 9 months or 12 months because they are kind of a daily bread earner also. So keeping those intricacies in mind, we have worked with training institutes to impart them shorter courses with regard to upskilling them and upskilling them with relevant construction practices for better seismic resilience also, because West Bengal is seismic zone 3. And we are not only doing now it in West Bengal, we have spread these initiatives beyond West Bengal.
Absolutely. So from everything I've gathered from this session, there's a big push when it comes to the state government. There's a massive vision when it comes to the central government. And there's a lot of innovation when it comes to companies like SRMB Steel, but when is that going to transform into growth and we actually see results on ground? I think that's the question that we end this session with. Mr. Ashish, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. A big round of applause for Mr. Ashish from SRMB Steel.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Chancellor and Pro-Vice Chancellor of Sister Nivedita University was part of an interesting panel discussion on the academic growth and sporting excellence in the East.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting session that we're now going to have. This is, about integrating sporting excellence in academics, and that is something I think that we all need to focus on. We've been talking about it, but how to implement it. Can I first start by asking both of you, you are associated with one of the most respected institutions. How do you see holistic education? How would you define holistic education? Starting with you, sir.
So all the time from the University Grants Commission during his period, he mentioned about that we have to look at the holistic education from a 360-degree angle. And it's not only that it's knowledge in a specific area, but how you can look at it from an area which is interdisciplinary, which is cross-disciplinary, which is transdisciplinary. Now, all the three different things which are becoming very, very important when we talk about the holistic improvement in the education itself. So we looked at it from that particular point of view. And so it is not only the graduation degree in the regular, say for example, the MBBS or in the engineering or in the science, arts, others, but it also we have to think about that education in the field of, say for example, skill, as he is mentioning. Then we can think about the education in the field of sports itself. Right now, we are looking at it from a very interesting point of view that how the sports education is going to be. If you look at the other countries and compared to India, how many Olympians we are actually producing? Why we're not getting them? Why we look sports as only for them who are not good in their grades? But it is not like that. We have to make people aware that if you love sports, why don't you have to have things which are, you can educate yourself in the sports so that you are going to be a real good sportsman. Even for the coach, we should have a proper training things. So education in all these fields are going to be very, very important.
Absolutely. And, one of the key factors in sort of identifying that talent at the grassroots level has been, how the government has come up with Khelo India program, and they are looking at grassroots athletes. But in terms of diversifying education into, identifying sporting talent in schools, in colleges, in universities, how will we be able to do that?
You are highlighting a critical gap
Yes.
in India's sports development strategy. See, we have launched Khelo India and these schemes to ensure at the grassroots level sports culture develops. There are scholarships out there to encourage people to participate in sports. But at our institutes, have we been able to move away from a persistent challenge where sports plays a secondary role to academics? We have not been able to. And it is because of that academics is always looked upon as the priority area. And where does sports come in schools? It's the game period. Half an hour, 40 minutes, you go and run in the field and do whatever you feel like. And that's where sports ends, actually. Now, how do we overcome that? There are various thoughts in that area. One of them is that there has to be strategic integration of athletics and sports in the curriculum. Just like you have science stream, commerce stream, there has to be for athletics and sports a separate stream. We have to have built in measurable outcomes for those who choose the sports stream, whether it is technique assessments, fitness goals, how they perform in competitions, the skill development milestones, all of that to ensure that those who have chosen to move into, let's say, the academic, the sports stream are actually on the right path and are fit to be in there so that no one should fall through the cracks. There should be partnerships with the district sports bodies, state sports bodies, national training centers, that each institute should do it individually and not wait for the government or others to step in and to do. You need resource allocation. It just cannot be that sports or is extracurricular. It's part of the curriculum.
You are one of the foremost pioneers of private universities in West Bengal. It's been one of the most recognized and respected institutions in the state. As far as your vision to take this forward is concerned, how would you describe it?
National education policy actually opened up quite a bit of scope for implementing this particular long time due academia-industry relationship into its reality. How? Because it gives us, it actually makes the students actually, why don't you have the internship during your, and whatever be your subject area, internship is going to be very important for you. And when you talk about internship, you think about that there are a lot of different scope for you to go for your creative thinking part, to nurture that.
Absolutely. And on that hopeful note, we're going to end this session. Thank you very much to both of you, Professor Sen and Professor Chattopadhyay, for getting us this insight into how diversification in education is opening up. People are accepting, and hopefully, we'll have more and more youngsters come up in sports, and not just in sports, in different sectors, in different fields other than what we've traditionally seen in this country. Thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The summit specially honored the lifelong contributions of Mrs. Sheila Evelyn Broughton, the Managing Trustee of Julian Educational Trust, celebrating the profound impact she made on society and the enduring inspiration she leaves for generations to come.
Definition of intelligence has changed today. When you talk of intelligence, it's usually a conversation about artificial intelligence. And when there's a conversation about artificial intelligence, we talk of Bangalore, the startups, Hyderabad, the startups there as well, Chennai, the data centers there. Why doesn't West Bengal, particularly Kolkata, feature in the conversation?
West Bengal has got a huge amount of talent. There's no doubt about it. But then again, it is important that we channelize the talent in the right direction. That is, are we educating the students in the proper direction of AI? The answer, I believe, is a little less when we compare it with that of Karnataka. If you look into the startups, then there was a time, if you look maybe 10 years back, you will find that there was a time when Bengal actually had more patents than that of Karnataka. There was a year when there were, I remember, 158 patents were registered from West Bengal, and in the same year, Karnataka registered 143. If you go back to that same year or any year lesser or more, I exactly don't remember, there were around 2,000 registrations from West Bengal, and there were around 1,500 from Karnataka. But if you look into the figure last year, then last year Karnataka had roughly 3,000 registrations, whereas West Bengal had the same number, 2,000. Now, I really believe that if you have to have patents, if you have to have startups, then you need to be in the right direction where the world is progressing.
You said that Karnataka has a large talent pool that focuses on AI. And interestingly, I am from Bangalore myself, and a lot of the top AI engineers I meet there are from West Bengal. Why are these engineers not staying and working in West Bengal? Do you think the ecosystem is not right? Do you think the government is not nudging things in the right direction? Where do you think the gap is?
See, if you talk about an AI ecosystem, the very, very important order of the day is the collaboration between government, the private parties, and the universities. Now, this collaboration has not been I believe, it has been initiated a lot, but maybe some more steps can be taken from the government to initiate more collaboration between universities, private parties, the startups, and the industry, and the government. That can be done. Secondly, knowledge sharing and co-sharing is lesser in West Bengal. Now, I think you can relate. I don't know, many of you must have participated in discussions all across West Bengal and also across Karnataka. You will always find that when we are into a discussion, when we are into an industry-academia meet, when we are into an industry-academia government meet, you'll find in Karnataka there will be always there will be all the startups participating over there, the big industry people coming up. That is lesser. That participation is lesser in Bengal. Whatever be the reason, maybe I'm failing to understand the reason. But I have seen, because I have participated in many programs in IISc, I have organized industry institute programs in IISc Bangalore and many other places across Karnataka. I have seen people participate a lot, and to understand the gap and to mitigate that gap, I specifically go to Bangalore and organize those programs because I can find the people taking more interest over there as compared to West Bengal. But then again, things are improving. It should not sound like my word should not sound totally like it is bad. It is not that bad. Things are improving in Bengal. People are taking interest. I can see many people listening to this with a lot of interest here also. So no doubt about it. But yes, it is there.
The next session had a panel of experts decoding how MSMEs are the backbone of Bengal's economy.
There are multiple digital platforms that are there in India, and especially when it comes to MSMEs and focusing on Tier 2 and Tier 3 city MSMEs. What do you think? How can these digital platforms empower the MSMEs? What are your viewpoints?
See, the government of West Bengal, or for that matter, any government, will have various schemes, various ways to help the MSME segment. As was pointed out, that the backbone of any economy, any state economy in India, in most of the states, is the MSME. And there are platforms, there are portals built, there are schemes built towards them. There always is a gap between what is the intention of the government and what actually reaches to the last mile, and for that there needs to be a certain amount of hand-holding, right? So when we look at portals like Udyam, we have portal like Shilpa Sati in West Bengal, we have portals like ONDC for e-commerce, right? These are from the government side. So first thing is more awareness campaigns to create awareness about these and how to use them, how to take benefit out of this, right from market access to logistics to capital access and so on and so forth. Similarly, there are private players who are helping these MSMEs to do their work better, from payments to credit access. Again, there are platforms from let's say, from accounting softwares to, there are so many fintech platforms which are doing lending to them. So the whole idea is there are platforms, and certain parts of the countries are using it much, much better, right? We need to see, are we up to the mark? So they are just ready to grab that. We just need to create the right amount of awareness and hand-holding.
So do you think that there are schemes, there are policies that are really helping West Bengal MSMEs to thrive better?
There are many schemes already in place by the government of West Bengal as of now. So there is Bangla Shri, there is Shilpa Sati that you mentioned, there are credit link policies, there are finance clinics that are already in place. But what we need to understand here is we need to launch targeted awareness campaigns where there are 7.5 GST payers in the state and 45.7 Udyam registrations. So there is this huge gap that needs to be overcome. Once that informality is dealt with, yes, we are going to have so much better output in terms of MSME upliftment or policies that would really matter. Yes, so that is one particular thing. Next, like you said, women entrepreneurs being the highest. It leads the country in terms of women-owned enterprises. But there also needs to be financial clinics and small ticket loans, small tenure loans, and other collateral-free access to capital that need, so that they can take use of the advantage that the government is already providing to them. So that being the second one. Then there needs to be schemes for the ST/SCs, of course, and minority communities. Plus, I would say there would be sector-specific incentives. Like we have this huge population of people who are into the MSME peoples, who are into handlooms, who are into handicrafts, who are into leather industries. So this is one huge sector, again, where we need leveraging of their skills, workshops to upskill them, change of mindset as per financing is concerned, so that they can set up their own enterprises and go ahead and use of the policies as they can. So yes, these are the few policy changes, or rather, I would say pivoting that needs to be done in terms of MSME policies in the state.
When it comes to startups and MSMEs, do you still think, Raghav, that Bengal has the most favorable climate, investment climate, and how do you foresee this growing? Your views on this?
Yeah, thanks. So I think I've seen the startup climate in West Bengal from the last 12 years. When we first started the Angel Network, Calcutta Angels, we had to actually go out to the suburbs and outside Calcutta and get startups because there was no awareness of what a startup actually is and how to scale and how to get funding. Then when we started Calcutta Angels, slowly, all the startups started coming, and now the quality of startups that are there in Calcutta and even in smaller towns, due to the awareness programs of educational institutes, the government, various bodies like NASSCOM and TIE. So the quality of entrepreneurs and startups is much better than what it was previously, and that is reflecting in the funding also that has been there in Calcutta for the last 5 odd years. So now you're seeing a number of startups which are very well funded. So I think, yeah, the environment is much more conducive now than what it was, let's say, a decade back. And there are a lot of family offices from the funding side. So one is on the incubation, acceleration, and general infrastructure that is required to have a conducive environment for startups. But also, I think from the funding side, there are a number of individuals who have started their own companies. They have raised funding. Now they are investing in startups. A lot of family offices have come up. So, large corporates who have extra capital to deploy, let's say 5 or 10% of the capital they are putting into startups. And then, of course, corporates themselves. So both on the individual, corporate, and family office side, there's enough capital now chasing. And on the incubation acceleration, there's enough of sandboxes that are existing. So it's just that entrepreneurs now have to take advantage of both these and have a long-term vision in mind and not see that I'm going to earn money in 3 to 5 years and exit and make. So that cultural mindset, that shift is what is required now.
Definitely we will make MSMEs all the more better, and they will definitely help in improving all the more Bengal's economy. Thank you so much for your time.
The summit also had an interesting panel discussion around skilling East India with focus on AI.
Can I start with you, Mr. John, and understand from you that education has been evolving, and therefore, how do you see, future skills such as AI being relegated to those areas and those students who perhaps don't have that kind of an infrastructure, that kind of a reach at the moment?
AI as an evolving technology that is very soon taking a good shape in the school education level. It has brought a lot of challenges. School curriculum has not developed. When we speak about NEP, we are speaking about NCF. That is the National Curriculum Framework. The framework has been made, but no guidelines have been given as such where we can integrate AI into our curriculum, because no such curriculum has been developed yet. What we are using at our school level is something abstract. The companies have come in with a lot of models, a lot of marketing strategies, and we have adopted them. We are using the tools, we are displaying it, we are trying to educate. But as we say, AI can teach, AI cannot educate. So in that sense, the school is trying to integrate AI, but from my point of view, we are still confused.
Do you think, things like coding and AI, robotics, all of this, we should start with them young? And if we should, then, how do you go about it, considering also the fact that there are safety concerns, there are also addiction concerns, all of that coming into play?
To begin with, we have to analyze who will help the children to teach. It is the teacher. Today, heavily dependent on computer teachers. In a school, we have 1 or 2 or 3 computer teachers, but we have so many subject teachers. Not all are trained on this teaching methodology. Reason being is, whether you are doing your B.Ed or DLED, the curriculum has not included any of these technological teaching. We are talking about students learning and curriculum. But we should focus now on teachers' training when the technology is invading, I should say, at a very sharp speed.
Dr. Sinha, I want you to then, what is your take on this entire integration of AI with academics? How do you see this moving forward? Because yes, like he rightly said, it is a very new concept, and therefore frameworks and infrastructure hasn't been developed in a way that traditional forms of learning have had over the past several years.
One example which comes in my mind after hearing what Sir says, if you look at the class, it has got a very diverse students, and all have their own way of learning. So definitely one thing what this AI can do is that it can to some extent personalize the learning. Even this AI is what they can do, they can talk, they can give data about the strength, weaknesses, and also the feedback on what is the strength and weaknesses of the students. And apart from that, I feel based on this data, what we can do, we can personalize the learning experience of the students. Okay. And then today, if we looked at all these complex machines, for example, the jet engine, which we use in the aircraft, with the help of this augmented reality and virtual reality, I think this also needs to be incorporated in the schools and colleges, where literally if students want to learn about the engines, through these technologies, they can literally walk into the system and they can learn the working of those engines. Okay, so I feel it's a good thing. We need to somehow implement that in our curriculum.
Can I then, understand from you the point of NEP, of how it is focused on, memorizing of experience and not just rote learning?
This NEP 2020, it very clearly doesn't only talk about the academic, but also it talks about the holistic growth of the students. It can be physical, emotion, or ethical. So somewhere you talked about that syllabus khatam ho jana. I think I just like to add one point over there. See, that is one biggest problem, let it be in schools or colleges. So nobody is bothered whether the student is understanding those topics or not. So that is where 2-3 things what we do in our college is that, one is that we try to integrate the theory and the lab classes. So for example, if a student need to be taught about machines and all that, we prefer taking those classes in the lab. So physically, we can show them the machines, and then we can also talk about the working principle. And as ma'am was saying that we should focus more on hands-on experience. So one suggestion, one way of what we do in our college is that we stress a lot on the mini projects. So whether a student is doing a theory paper or a lab, we ensure that these guys are doing a mini project based on whatever things they have learned.
While we can talk about diversifying our teachers and our trainers, जब वो classroom में जाते हैं, there is a framework that binds them. वो limit हो जाते हैं उसी framework को in terms of syllabus cover करने के लिए. So how do you then change that?
I see that positive result happening already till class 8th. The syllabi is getting reduced, and more activities are being integrated. Same way from 9th to 12th, now the process has started. And at undergraduate level, we are also trying to train teachers that in order to now go from the rote learning to the experiential learning, first of all, you have to go to reduce the syllabi, but in addition, all the lecture type of things have to be converted into the digital content.
All right, with that, we conclude this session, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you learned a bit more, of course, about education, about digitization of education, and how we can take this forward. Thank you very much to all of my panelists this evening for this absolutely insightful conversation. Thank you so much.
The summit saw an interesting fireside chat around development and innovation in textile and overall industrial landscape in the eastern region of the country.
Vinodji, I was thinking about the things I need to ask you, and what better way to start than a personal anecdote. For a lot of you don't know here, we have a 3-generation garment business in Bangalore. We've sold the biggest brands. at discounted prices. Even in a place like Bangalore, dollar products continue to sell like hotcakes. I really need to start the session by asking you this. What's the secret sauce? How is it that over the years you maintain such a brand presence, not just in the region where you're operating from, but also across the nation?
The secret sauce for dollars is sustained availability and presence in the market for more than 5 decades is all about quality, affordable prices, and looking at what the current consumers are asking for. I mean, the taste, it always changes with the time. We always try to keep ourselves updated with respect to the choice of the customers, their preferences all over the period. We try to keep ourselves in pace with them so that we always remain present in their mind and also making our product available throughout the country all the time.
When a customer across the nation comes and says, regardless of whether a premium brand is offering their product at a discounted price, मुझे तो dollar का ही item लेना है. How does that make you feel as someone who's worked on this brand for so many years? How is it that you continue to carry the brand legacy forward?
See, it's all about, as I said, it's all about quality and the affordable prices and the modern fashion which a consumer is always would like to have it in their hand. So we, over the period of 5 decades, we have been into this business, and we have been able to maintain this perception into the mind of the consumers that whenever they are going to buy dollar, they are buying it for quality and the current fashion.
It always starts with an idea. How did dollar start with an idea, and why did you name it dollar?
It's even I asked my father several times, what made you name this brand dollar? He said suddenly it has come up into their mind, and they kept it dollar, and then it went on like US dollar.
Did he say he wanted to export? तो पहले से ही तैयारी करके रखते. Let's name it dollar.
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Export तो we started very late. I mean, this brand was evolved in 1972, and our exports started only in 1998. So maybe that time it was not into their mind. But then even they also are not recognizing why they have kept this name.
West Bengal is marching ahead, so is the dollar industries, and Mr. Vinod Gupta, as confident as ever. A big round of applause here for Mr. Vinod Gupta from the dollar industries. And with that, viewers, it's a wrap on all the sessions here. We'll, of course, keep getting you more on this particular session as well. And like I said, like one of the things that you also had to say, that if you don't keep up with time, time will outrun you. What a wonderful message. Thanks a lot, everyone.